Hey guys, welcome to A Healer's Guide to Ragnaros. As far as fights go, I personally think this is one of the easier ones in Firelands for healers. Most of the fight is avoiding certain mechanics, and the damage that goes out is very regular, and raid-wide generally. I bring 6 healers just to cover any mishaps that might happen, but you could easily 5 heal it. To begin with, separate the healers, 3 on the left, 3 on the right. You'll want your pallies on the right, since that's where the tanks are, and then an additional healer to help with AoE heals, for when traps are activated by mages or shadow priests. I put myself on that side, but a holy priest would be fine as well. The rest of the healers will be with the melee on the left side. This fight is very simple, but your movements must be precise. The beginning of the fight is pretty standard. Tank takes damage, you heal them. It is important for everyone to be out of the center circle though. You will want to keep a distance of 6 yards on everyone during most of the fight, except when stacking and killing suns. You will also need to avoid standing close to the edge where he is hovering, since it causes spell interrupts. There is a mechanic called Lava Wave, which lands somewhere on either side and then sends out 3 waves in every direction, except towards Rag himself. It is very important that you do not get caught by one, since it will throw you back, and if you are on the edge already, it can knock you out of the fight. It is pretty simple to predict the wave locations, just don't stand close to the pool and get in between them. He will also place things called magma traps on the floor. Get away from them ASAP. It is the DPS's job to trigger them. We personally use a mage and a shadow priest for the slow falls, etc. Make sure they count down when they're triggering them, since it will cause a raid-wide damage hit. If your tank is low when they trigger it, it will cause their death. When they call it, make sure they are above 50% health, but that goes for everyone. Suns will spawn at a certain point. They're big lava dudes. DPS will kill them. They have to do this before they get to the hammer, so they will set up interrupt rotations. It is very important that if you want to slow or stun them, ask your leader ahead of time, since you want to make sure it won't mess up diminishing returns. The damage in this part is minimal, but more than the beginning of the fight, and less predictable, but it won't last long. Then there are the Molten Seeds. They hurt. A lot. When they start spawning, everyone needs to collapse at the center, at a predetermined point. Usually we put a raid marker down in the center. This is the point you use your raid CDs for. I use our barrier first for their explosion. There will also be something called Engulfing Flames, which is basically where 3 sections, the inside ring nearest the rag, the middle ring, and then the outside ring, is engulfed in flames, and you have to get out of ASAP. If you're lucky, the group won't have to move for this during Molten Seeds, but you have to be prepared. Your raid leader will call out to move if this happens. The stacking part, or Molten Seeds, will happen multiple times during the fight, so time your CDs appropriately. On some stacks, the engulfing ring will go out towards the beginning of the stack, so do not use a stationary CD, like barrier, until the ring is out and you know where you'll be standing. It is recommended to watch the CD time on the boss mod you use, labeled Engulfing Flames. It is very important to stack tightly, since lava waves will go out during the second Molten Seed stack. Once they're all killed, you go back to your original sides, and then rinse and repeat. After the 3rd stack, there will be a debuff that goes out called Blazing Heat. If you ever did Blood Queen Lanathiel in ICC, it works the same as the flames she had. I don't remember the name. If you get the debuff, run to the back and run along the edge, dropping the flames behind you. You want it out of the way as soon as possible, so that's why you move to the back of the edge of the platform. And then the fun part begins. Here's where you add all the previous things except Molten Seeds and stacking, and then you add something called the Living Meteor. Basically, it tethers to someone in the room and you have to kite it. Try not to hit anyone with it. Healing during this, aside from tanks, is very minimal, unless people get hit by lava waves and exploding living meteors, and then they stay in engulfing flames. Meteors will continue to spawn until the end of the fight. For normal, the end of the fight is 10%, just like the Lich King or Cho'Gall. It is a long fight, and you can use any 3-minute CD at least 3 times, so keep that in mind. However, as you can see, it's not very healing intensive except for certain parts. The last phase with the meteors is basically avoiding lava waves and meteors and healing tanks. I hope this helps, and as always, if you have questions, post a comment. Thanks.